the states and the people. And keep in mind, the Ninth Amendment says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. They did not intend for the federal government to have all this power. They knew that most power would be retained by the people. And the 10th says the power is not delegated, specifically delegated to the United States by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states or reserved to the states respectively or the people. All right, with that in mind, remember the Declaration of Independence says, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. They point out that the history of the present king of Great Britain, in our case, the federal government, is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations. We see it every day in this body. Usurpations of the state and the people's rights. But the Declaration says, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over the states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. And one of the things it said is about the king, think about our federal government, he has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he is utterly neglected to attend to them. We have heard from nearly 40 states who say, you can't do this to us. You're usurping the powers reserved under the Constitution to the states and the people. You're taking those away. We're ready to file a lawsuit as soon as you pass this unholy bill come Sunday. Sunday, the Lord's Day, we're going to pass an unholy bill like this when the vast majority of the states, over 2/3 of the states, are saying this is wrong. You're usurping our power. You can't do this. It's what they said in the Declaration. Goodness, and the Declaration goes on. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Well, how about that? A new article today that happened to be in the paper talking about just that very thing. Isn't it interesting? This is in the news today, or yesterday, I'm sorry, from The Hill. It says, assuming this bill becomes law, the Congressional Budget Office, it expects the IRS will need around $10 billion over the next 10 years and nearly 17,000 new employees to meet its new responsibilities under health reform, or as the Declaration of Independence called it, to harass our people and eat out of their substance. Amen. They're going to take tax dollars in order to create 17,000 new IRS agents to go out and harass the people and eat out of their substance. The Declaration goes on. He has combined with others to subject us to jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. And we see that in things that this White House is proposing, that we're going to give Interpol, a foreign intelligence group, the same rights our own intelligence people have in this country. And another point, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. It goes on, in every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of free people. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. For support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Man, the power in that. The power in that. And out from that, John Adams wrote this letter to Abigail as soon as, right after, on July 4th, he wrote her. And at the end, he said, "You will think me transported with enthusiasm, but I'm not. I'm well aware of the toil and blood and treasure that it will cost us to maintain this declaration and to support and defend these states. Yet through all the gloom, I can see the rays of ravishing light and glory. I can see that the end is more than worth all the means, and that posterity will triumph in that day's transaction, which I trust in God." Anyway, these are powerful things, and these are on our shoulders to protect the states and the people's rights, and not to continue to usurp what was so graciously entrusted to us, and to make sure the states had us protected. But I thank my friend, and I yield.